Okay, so food for life. So why is healthy eating important? Healthy eating has a lot to do with how our health is. So one of the big examples that I like to give is the things that we use in our everyday life. There are certain things that we like to use. For example, men like to have really good gas or the premium gas for their fast car. In my life, one of the things that I like to splurge on, I guess, is good hair products. And so I'll purchase overly priced, expensive hair products in order to have that manageable hair that I really want. So this same concept we have to use in our daily life. So therefore, we have to choose the best foods possible for our health. And I'm going to show you why it's specifically important. So about 5 years ago, I discovered something and it changed my life and it completely changed my diet. And this new discovery is very significant because it can reduce risk of cancer, of all cancers, I'm sorry, by 40%. Now this is huge. There isn't any medication, any pills, anything that you can do that can reduce cancer by that much. So this new discovery, which I'm going to tell you all about, can reduce cancer risk by 40%. Now that's huge. You will be thinner and healthier. You can add up to 9.5 years to your lifespan. Now this is for men. For women, it could be up to 6 years. And you can substantially lower your heart disease and stroke risk. Okay, so this is all from a certain type of diet that I've changed in my life. So food is a weapon. It's definitely something that we can use in order to combat disease. And here are some examples here you can see at the bullet points listed of some reasons why, or some reasons that, some ways that diet can be extremely helpful in heart disease or different types of things that can affect our health. So the first one here, it says dietary change can enable diabetic patients to go off their medication. So this is huge. Diabetic patients can not use medication if they go on a healthier lifestyle. And I'll talk more about what this lifestyle is. So heart disease can be reversed by diet alone. This just shows how huge diet can be for our heart disease and just risk in general. Antioxidants found in fruits and vegetables are linked to better mental performance in old age. And then kidney stones can be prevented by a healthy diet. So these are just a few examples of how diet can have a huge impact on our health. So really all these issues come down to three things: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Basically what it is the food that we eat. So the food that we eat is extremely important in our risk as far as disease goes. And there's a little cartoon here. It just says the doctor's telling his patient, "I'm taking you off of three things: breakfast, lunch, and dinner." So the lifetime diet. Now this is the diet that I was referring to earlier. This is just a catchy title, something that I came up with. But really what I'm talking about here is the way that we eat, a certain way that we eat. And primarily I'm going to be talking today about a plant-based diet, okay? So I'm going to go over a little bit about why diets don't work, so fad diets in general. Fad diets don't work, okay? And I'm actually said a little bit of a lie there because they do work, right? If we restrict calories, we will lose weight. However, a lot of these diets, you may have heard of Atkins, South Beach, and the Zone diet, you cannot do long term. For example, with Atkins, it's a huge, what you really do with that diet is you restrict carbohydrates, so you eat a lot less carbohydrates and more fat and protein. So just imagine if every day you went to eat a fast food restaurant, if that was your usual, you know, lunch, for example, and you ordered, you know, let's say the Happy Meal or the Big Mac at McDonald's. Now, if you were on the Atkins diet, you wouldn't be able to have the soda, you wouldn't be able to have the French fries or the bun. So you're eating a burger patty with cheese on it. Now, if we did that, of course you're going to lose tons of weight because you're eliminating primarily an entire food group from your diet. So really, these fad diets do work at the short term, but long term, they don't work. You cannot maintain weight loss on something like that. So the next point here, it just says temporary diets equal temporary weight loss. So these short-term diets, you may lose weight now, but as soon as you go back to your regular habits, as soon as you go back to eating that French fries, that bun, and that soda, you're going to go back to where you were. And there's no one single best diet. Okay, so again, fad diets don't work. I think we've established that. And most fad diets are very restrictive and almost impossible to do long term. So I've put some examples here. Again, we talked about the Atkins. Another one is interesting I like to mention is the grapefruit diet. This one is, people will just drink grapefruit juice for a certain amount of days or a certain amount of meals. Just something that we cannot do long term. As soon as you are done with these diets, you've lost the weight that you've wanted to, and go back to how you're eating, you will gain the weight back. Okay, so this is a very interesting study that was done. And what they found was after these different diets with different composition of fat, protein, the weight loss was the same after 2 years. So for example, the low fat and the average protein diet, there was a 6.6 pound weight loss. The low fat, high protein diet, there was an 8.8 pound weight loss. With the high fat, average protein diet, there was a 7 pound weight loss. And with the high fat, high protein diet, there was a 7.5 pound weight loss. So at the end of 2 years, the weight loss was not different. So significantly, there was no significant difference between the 6 pounds and the 7 pounds, for example, or the 8 and the 7.5. All these at the end turned out to be the same amount of weight loss. Okay, so food for life. Again, we're back to that. It's really about finding a diet that's right for you, and throughout our lifespan that changes, right? When we're childs, teenagers, need tons more calories, adults, different. As seniors, our diet is going to change as well. So it's really about choosing foods that are going to be the healthiest for us throughout our lifespan. And diets should also be based on the most latest information out there in science. So you want to choose a diet that has been backed by years of research. For example, there's a big one right now called the HCG diet, which is a huge craze right now, and there has been zero research done on this diet. And basically what it is a diet where they inject a certain hormone that's found during pregnancy into people, and they found that, they think that this is going to help with weight loss. But there has been zero research done. So these type of things you don't want to spend your money on, and you don't want to risk your health for. Okay, so food for life. These are the main components of a healthy diet. Now this is super broad, and my colleague Kristen Osborne is going to go into more depth in the foods that you should be eating for each of these categories. But this is kind of like a broad overview of what a healthy diet should consist of. So for carbohydrate, you want to stick with whole grains and high fiber. And pay attention, please, to this high fiber, because I'll be bringing that up throughout the presentation. It's a super important component of a healthy diet, is high fiber. So protein, we want to stick to lean protein sources, preferably vegetarian protein sources, because vegetarian protein sources contain zero saturated fat and cholesterol. And these are the #1 risk factors for heart disease. So high cholesterol, obviously, and high bad cholesterol and low good cholesterol, and that's one of the main risks for heart disease. So with with vegetable protein sources, you won't be getting any of that. And then the fats, you want to stick to the heart healthy fats, and those are the monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and then the omega-3 and the omega-6. Okay, so here's just a little example here for you. Did you know that the TGIF Fridays, this is the petite sirloin steak, and I think they use petite wrong here in this title, but this is a 6-ounce steak. It has 370 calories, so not too bad. 24 grams of fat, 11 grams of saturated fat. Now for the average 2,000 calorie diet, we should be getting about 12 grams of saturated fat per day. So this is about the amount that we should be getting for the entire day. 1,450 milligrams of sodium. Now for the average 2,000 calorie diet, we should be getting about 2,300 or 1,500 if you have high blood pressure. So this is well above the amount that we should be getting in one single piece of meat. One single portion in our whole entire meal. So this is not including sides or anything like that. and then 38 grams of protein. So it's a good protein source. That's not debatable here, but for the amount of calories and for the protein, look at the fat and the cholesterol that we're getting. It's just not worth it. So here is comparable amount of black beans. So the 6 ounces of black beans, 227 calories. So pretty much similar in calories, 0.9 grams of fat. So that's virtually, you know, not even a fourth of the fat that's in the steak. 0.2 grams of saturated fat and 2 milligrams of sodium. So way less amount of sodium in this, and then 15 grams of protein. So has half of the protein, but really all that means is we should be eating more of these black beans, right? All right, so the research shows here for vegetarians, this is the life expectancy for vegetarians versus Californians. And for vegetarians, you can see how extremely higher it is for them versus just regular Californians. Okay, so this is more research here just on vegetarian diet tends to have, people that are on vegetarian diets tend to have lower BMI, lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, and less incidence of all these different diseases here. So this is some research here on cancer, and I'm going to go over 3 different chronic diseases today, cancer being one of them, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. So we're going to go into the cancer here. And there was a study done by T. Colin Campbell, and he's a researcher that did conducted the China study. He was also featured in the movie Forks Over Knives. You may have heard from him there. And in this, his research, it was very interesting. What he found was that he had some rats that he fed a cancer substance, cancer-causing substance, so a certain nutrient that he gave these rats. And he fed half of the rats vegetable protein, so soy-based or wheat-based, and he fed half of the rats casein, which is a milk protein. And what he found was that the rats that were fed the vegetable protein did not get cancer, versus the rats that were fed the milk-based protein did get cancer. And this is huge because the rats that were fed the vegetable protein still got that cancer-causing substance. So this was huge research that he found as far as cancer risk and vegetarian diet. So another study also found, this is from the Adventist Health Study, which is a huge comprehensive study that was done on vegetarian diet. And what they found from that was that red meat, or even more specifically processed meat, has been shown to be associated with elevated risk of cancer. So this here is just saying that vegetarians have a 40% less likely risk to get cancer than people that do not eat meat, regardless of other health risks. So this is huge, because what this is saying is that people that regular people that are not on a vegetarian diet, regardless of whether they're overweight or if they smoke, they still don't have they have a greater risk for cancer than vegetarians. So I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Vegetarians that either smoke or are overweight still have a 40% less likely chance to get cancer versus someone that is on a regular diet that may or may not smoke. So this is huge. Vegetarian diets are huge protectors against cancer. Okay, so how do plant-based diets reduce the risk of cancer? There's certain nutrients that we eat that are found in foods, and these are called antioxidants. And I have an example here. We have beta carotene, vitamin E, and selenium. Those are just a few examples. They can significantly reduce the risk of gastric cancer and just cancer overall. So what antioxidants do is they neutralize free radicals. And free radicals, they cause damage to our DNA, which in turn can cause cancer. Okay, so this is a huge thing found just in foods. This is not a pill or anything, it's just antioxidants. So these are all found in fruits and vegetables primarily. Here are 3 examples. Beta carotene is one of them. This is found in sweet potatoes, carrots, cantaloupe, any type of like orangey fruits, vegetables. Lutein is great for the eyes, but it's also found in green leafy vegetables, collard greens, those type of vegetables. And then lycopene is found in tomatoes, watermelon, so any of the red vegetables or fruits. Now these all here are cancer fighting, okay? And so the main point that I want to make as far as this goes is we need to eat more fruits and vegetables. Okay, this is huge. Here's a few more. Selenium is a mineral and component of antioxidant enzymes. It's found in more of the white types of foods like rice or wheat. Vitamin A is found in sweet potatoes, carrots, milk, and egg yolks. And vitamin C is found high in fruits and vegetables. And then vitamin E is found in healthy oils. All right, so this one here is just an example of vitamin C. And earlier when I mentioned fruits and vegetables, I was talking about the raw form or the natural form of fruits and vegetables, not juices. And this is why. So this is a comparison of an 8-ounce glass of orange juice versus an orange. And you can see the orange juice has 122 calories versus the orange juice has 122 calories versus the orange, which has 86, so a few less calories, not a big difference. The orange juice has 0 grams of fiber, whereas the orange has 4 grams, so that's 4 times the amount, which is huge. The orange juice has 97 milligrams of vitamin C, and the orange has 70 milligrams. So the orange has less vitamin C, which is not a big deal, but really what you want to look at is that you're getting less calories and you're getting fiber, which is going to be huge for our heart disease risk, and I'm going to talk about that more. So really what this means is we just need to eat more oranges if we want to get the same amount of vitamin C from orange juice. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about heart disease risk. And from large-scale studies, what they found was that death from heart disease is 30% lower in vegetarian men and 20% lower in vegetarian women. So vegetarianism has a huge impact on heart disease. Vegetarian diets are also effective in lowering plasma cholesterol. So this here is a little graph just showing the changes that vegetarian diet can have on cholesterol. Now, the white bars are a low-fat diet, and then the gray bars are a low-fat diet plus vegetarian. So the regular, you can see the difference here as far as total cholesterol is huge, much lower total cholesterol from a vegetarian diet. And also LDL cholesterol, which is our bad cholesterol, is significantly lower, was significantly changed from in this study. Okay, so this one here is showing the risk of chronic heart disease, and this is a really cool study, and what they found here was, so let's look at the top, the high-fat dairy for fish. So what they did was, in the study, they replaced people that were eating fish, they replaced it with high-fat dairy, and you can see their risk, not too bad. And then they replaced the fish with low-fat dairy. So again, the risk went down a little bit, but not too much. Now look what happens when you replace beans for fish, completely on the opposite side of this risk ratio here. And then at the very bottom, you can see when you replace beans for red meat, and that's the very last one there. Completely on the other side, risk is way lower. Okay, so from the Adventist Health Study, they found a lot of amazing things as far as heart disease risk goes. And they found that heart disease, fatal heart disease in men is significantly related to beef intake. So if you're eating beef, you're going to have a larger risk of dying from a heart attack. Nut and whole grain consumption is associated with a lower risk of heart disease. So this is huge. And I'm going to tell you why these nuts are so protective for us. And then this is a big thing that they found as well, is that red meat intake as little as 1 serving per day can increase our risk of stroke. So, you know, really cutting back on our meat intake is, you know, usually normal Americans are eating about probably a serving per day, or 3 servings per day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this is showing that just 1 serving can have a huge impact on heart disease. Okay, so this is showing here 1 serving of meat, and this is 3 ounces. And so this is how large a 3-ounce serving is, which is 1 serving. This is the 1 serving that can cause or has a huge impact on our heart disease risk. So the average size served at restaurants is 8 ounces, and with up to 16 ounces, going up to all the way to 16 ounces. So you know, if you plan on having just 1 serving of meat, you really want to look at the size, because that's going to be extremely important. In most restaurants, that you don't get only 3 ounces. Okay, so this is just showing our risk here as far as red meat consumption and heart disease. So you can see in both of these different studies, they found that the more servings that you had, your risk for heart disease went up. So the higher the servings, the higher the risk. Okay, so how do plant-based diets reduce the risk of heart disease? I'm going to tell you why. How? So vegetarian diets are high in fiber, and I talked about this earlier. I'm going to continue to push this. Fiber is huge. It also is high in plant sterols, antioxidants, which we talked about already, and vegetarian diets are lower in fat. A reduced intake of fat, total fat, saturated fat, means that we are going to absorb less and convert less to cholesterol. So if you eat less cholesterol, you're going to absorb less and convert less, which is what we want to do. Now, this is not the primary way that vegetarian diets impact our cholesterol. Another way is going to be with high fiber. Fiber is an amazing component of foods, and it has been shown what it does is it actually pulls cholesterol from our gut before we even get it into our bloodstream. So it significantly lowers cholesterol. And this is not with medication, you know, not even with exercise. This is just with including fiber in your diet, even though, you know, exercise, of course, is very important. And then another neat information here is that soy intake decreases the damaging effects of LDL cholesterol. So if you have a high LDL or, you know, moderately high LDL, including soy is going to be very protective for you. It's going to not make that LDL as bad for you. Okay, so this is just a little fun thing here. Eat this, not that. Here's a black bean burrito, and this is from Taco Bell. 410 calories. 12 grams of fat, and it has 4 grams of saturated fat, 10 milligrams of cholesterol. Now, it has 1,100 milligrams of sodium, so that's huge, right? If we made this at home, probably not as much sodium, but still, as far as fat and calories, not too bad. You're going to see the comparison in a minute. 8 grams of fiber, so that's great, right? Tons of fiber, and then 14 grams of protein, so a moderate amount of protein for this burrito. Now, this here is a Volcano burrito, same restaurant. 780 calories, so more than double the calories for this burrito here. And what I want to emphasize is this one has meat, the other one did not, okay? 11 grams of saturated fat. This is huge. This is the same I talked about earlier, the same amount that we should have for the entire day. This is just in one burrito. 41 grams of fat, more than 3 times the amount of the black bean burrito. 65 milligrams of cholesterol. 1,590 milligrams of sodium. That's a lot of sodium. 8 grams of fiber, so it has the same amount of fiber as the other burrito, and then 24 grams of protein, so a little bit more protein. But really what you're getting here is you want to look at the calories and the amount of fat you're getting, which is significantly greater than the meatless burrito from before. Okay, so next we're going to talk about type 2 diabetes. Now, this is huge information here on the first bullet point that I have. It says 43% of people with type 2 diabetes who ate a low-fat vegan diet reduced their need for diabetes medication. So, you know, medication for diabetes is extremely expensive, and just with a low-fat diet, low-fat vegan diet, they can, you know, virtually go off their medication from just changing diet. So this is a huge information that you want to take with you here. There's also a significantly reduced risk of developing type 2 diabetes with people that follow a vegetarian or vegan diet. So when you're following this diet, you're most likely not going to get type 2 diabetes. You have a reduced risk of it at least. Low-fat vegan diets are effective as effective as diabetic diets for weight reduction and glycemic control, and even more effective for lowering cholesterol. So if you're a diabetic already and you're on a low-fat diet, because most diabetics are, switching to a vegan diet can lower your cholesterol even more, and it's more effective. People that have type 2 diabetes also have a greater risk for heart disease and high cholesterol. So for this population, it's really important for them to consider this type of diet. So this is a very neat information as well. There's a medication that diabetics take. It's called metformin. And from this study, what they found was a lifestyle intervention reduced diabetes by 58%. whereas the metformin, which is a medication, reduced diabetes by 31%. So it's a huge difference here. Look at what lifestyle can do. It can significantly reduce your risk of diabetes. And this is way much more than the metformin can, which is a medication that diabetics take. Okay, so lifestyle intervention from that study included intensive individual counseling and then motivational support, which included diet, exercise, and of course, behavior modification. Okay, so how do plant-based diets reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes? So our risk for type 2 diabetes can be changed a lot with our diet. We saw that before. And weight loss is one of the biggest ways that our plant-based diet can help with diabetes, right? So if you go on a plant-based diet, you're going to lose weight, and that's going to reduce our risk of diabetes and also reduce the need for medication, okay? Plant-based diets are also lower in fat, and that has been shown to improve blood sugar control. And then also, again, fiber. I keep bringing this up. Fiber helps with feeling fuller longer. It helps with weight loss and improve blood sugar control. And again, here's a little comparison. This is a whole grain bread with 4 grams of fiber versus the Wonder Bread that has 0 grams of fiber. So really what you want to focus on is getting those whole grains like I talked about in the beginning. This is some benefits of nuts. And nuts are huge. I promised that I would talk to you a little bit about these. Nuts contain tons of fiber. And these are some of the things that nuts can do. They can reduce your risk of heart disease regardless of age, exercise, if you're overweight, if you're a male or female, if you smoke, or if you have high blood pressure. Nuts can help with heart disease risk. So this is a huge thing that they found. What they've also done in 2003 is they've created a qualified health claim stating that if you ate 1.5 ounces of nuts per day, you can reduce your risk of heart disease. So this is completely a proven thing that they found in studies, okay? So something that you definitely want to do. And here's some more benefits. Of course, with the high fiber, you're going to get weight loss, even though these nuts are high in fat, so that means they're high in calories. But because of the fiber and the protein, which makes us feel full longer, we're going to see some weight loss with them. They also have heart-healthy fats. And then they also help with heart disease as well. Okay, so food for life. I mentioned this in the beginning. This is just a catchy title, but really what I want to talk about is, or what I want to emphasize is that what we eat does affect our health. It has a huge impact, and food is our weapon. We can use food basically to, you know, help us manage our heart disease, cancer, and diabetes risk. This stuff can go down with eating a plant-based diet. So use food as your weapon and continue to eat a healthy diet. Thank you very much. Questions?
I had a question.
Yes.
When you mentioned the comparison between the orange juice and the actual orange, where does the fiber come from? Do we actually eat the fiber when we eat the orange, or does it come from like the peel or the... Yeah,
the fiber is actually inside of the orange. So all fruits and vegetables have fiber, except for some, like watermelon may not. Fiber is, you know, when you eat an orange, you have that fibrous, like the inside of between the juicy part, there's that skin kind of, I guess. That's where you're gonna get most of the fiber, and most fruits and vegetables have it. For example, with vegetables like cucumber, the skin would have most of the fiber. There's some in the inside as well. So that's why with like potatoes and stuff like that, they tell you to eat the skin because it has a lot of the nutrients as well. And the orange juice is squeezing just the juice. You're not getting any of that fiber.
What is the recommended sodium quantity?
Sodium. So per day, you want to have 2,300 milligrams or less. This is for the average person, average diet. Now, if you have high blood pressure, it's going to be 1,500 or less.
And how much was the fat?
Fat's going to depend on the calories that you're taking in. So usually they go by either 10% or 30%, 10 to 30% of your calorie intake. So depending on your calories, you can kind of calculate that out.
It is noted that most of the vegetarian product is loaded with carbohydrates. Is that a fact?
Vegetarian products? Well, you know, you mean like packaged foods and stuff like that? Yeah, well, you know.
Dry product or?
Yeah, well, pastas and stuff like that have more carbohydrate than they would protein. I mean,
Vegetarian meats.
oh, vegetarian meats, I'm sorry. Okay, vegetarian meats. They do contain carbohydrate, and that's a filler for us to get that great texture that we want that's similar to meat. But as far as heart disease risk, you're not getting any saturated fat, any cholesterol. Total fat is way low. So when you're looking at these vegetarian products, what you really want to look for is low sodium, and I think that's pretty much, you know, as much fiber as you can get per calorie level. And Kristen actually will talk a little bit more about some of the specific foods.